Hi, and welcome along to a game of two halves live here on DR Sports. I am here just about to fly out, actually, to go to Holland, where Arsenal are going to be taking on PSV Eindhoven, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. But welcome along to the show, Mark Goldbridge. And Mark, we got to start with the FA Cup. Manchester United, the holders, going out yesterday on penalties, losing to Fulham. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, we had a flight as well out of the FA Cup yesterday afternoon. Yeah, I mean, look, boots on the other foot. We knocked Arsenal out on penalties, and that's when it hits penalties, it's disappointing, but it's a lottery, isn't it? And I was very angry at the end of the game because I just wasn't happy with the penalty takers. But we've seen that before. We've seen it. We're old enough to remember Southgate stepping up, and you're going, why? And I sort of felt that with Lindelof, but. Yeah, you know, Fulham were in that game as well. I don't think they deserve to lose it in 90 minutes or extra time. So penalties, well, fair play to Fulham. The FA Cup is quite interesting with a lot of teams in it. But with Man United, I mean, I didn't think we would be. I thought Fulham may be favourites going into the game, and I thought we did okay. But yeah, I mean, the quality issue is very, very clear. I think they battled. It was very similar to the Arsenal game. I think it was a battling performance from United. I can't really take a pop at players for lack of application, but there's just a. I mean, this is the same as what it was with Ten Hag at the start of the season. I mean, the team needs ripping up and rebuilding, and the big concern is I don't know that these owners have any intention of doing that when they're making cuts at the other end. But it needs. I know it's a cliche and we speak about Arsenal needing a striker and this, that, and the other, but every football club that's won anything is built on finance. And that United side, especially because of the way Amorim wants to play, it clearly needs a lot of money spending on it. My only issue with Amorim was at the end when he was talking about winning the Premier League. I thought that's just not, there's a time and a place to read the room. But yeah, I mean, just disappointing. It's all about the Europa League now, but the way we're playing, we've got no chance. It's going to be our worst ever season in Premier League history.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not really. I mean, he got pretty rattled as well at Wayne Rooney having a go at him, saying he's a little bit naive. And Ruben Amorim's going to start coming under pressure soon because, this is a horrendous run. And yeah, you're right, it was a battling performance and that, but I don't know, man. I'm still expecting more of Manchester United. You know what I mean? And they just look. I don't know. It's just teams are going to Old Trafford and thinking to themselves they can turn them over. That fear factor's gone. And I don't know, the performance. I still look at those players and say, they're better than that. I mean, the performance was still very, very poor.
Yeah, it was. And I think, but I remember this time last year, and it's a lot of it's the same players, bar probably 3 or 4. There's something fundamentally not quite right there. And I think, look, it irritates me, and I'm sure many people watching will be the same. I'm sure you're the same, Robbie. You know Arsenal better than anybody. It's your club. And I'm tired of, like, Danny Murphy yesterday was on BBC talking about changing the formation. What to, Danny? Like a 4-3-3? We haven't got any wingers. We couldn't play a 4-3-3. But it would be like me. It would be like somebody, getting hold of AFTV and saying it's all about Arsenal, and then the views drop a little bit, and they say, "Robbie, Chelsea are doing well. Start talking about Chelsea. You're Arsenal." Like, I don't have a problem with people talking about the system, but Amorim can't change the system. It's like asking you to start talking about.
No, but
Chelsea.
why can't he change it?
Because it's like we just said. You're AFTV. If
I know that.
Well, you're not going to start talking about Liverpool. He is.
No, I know that. I know that, Mark. Right, but
he's a 3-4-3. Right? That's all he's ever done. It's not on him. My bigger point is, why did INEOS bring him in? Like, why did they bring in a manager that very clearly is not going to suit that team and is very clearly not going to get backed? Like, if you're going to bring Thomas Tuchel in or Ruben Amorim in the way that they play, you've got to have a plan. It's almost like they went, he's a good manager that everyone's talking about. He'll solve the problems. And that's just so naive. They should have gone, he's a good manager with a really good system, but it's going to cost us about $500 million to build this team together. And they've sort of gone, all these players that failed in a 4-3-3 with Ten Hag, you use them in a 3-4-3. And you sort of like look at it and go, I get the chat about the formation. I get it. But it's not on Amorim. He's been brought in and that is what he is. And you've got to look at INEOS and say, a lot of United fans are saying now, we should have kept Ten Hag till the summer. Like the money we spent, 20 odd million to sack him and replace him. Would we be in a worse position with Ten Hag? And that's not on Amorim. That's on the decision that the board have made again, which at the moment looks very, very odd, unless they're going to spend a shitload of money in the summer.
I'll tell you what, right? This FA Cup is really opened up for an underdog team to win it. Newcastle also going out yesterday. And Gordon getting himself stupidly sent off, right? Which means now he misses the Carabao Cup final. I'm telling you, right? I can't tell you how. Listen, they've been the best team in the league. Let me just say that straight away. But these guys, right? These guys, the amount of luck, right? Also, that's following them. No Gordon now in that final against Liverpool. They played Newcastle last week. They had no Isak in the team. And the week before that, they played Man City. Haaland weren't in it. Right? I'll tell you, it's all going brilliantly for Liverpool. But he's very stupidly out of the final. It's his own fault. And Brighton, good performance by them. Welbeck with the winner. Brighton are through. Bournemouth are through. Right? Good win for them. Again, another player losing his head in Mateus Cunha. Crazy. He's going to be out for the next 3 games. That's going to cost them big. Wolves, they're still in a relegation fight. Preston are through. And Crystal Palace are through as well. And Aston Villa. An underdog has got... Man City, of course, are through as well. An underdog's got a great chance to win this because Man City ain't firing either. They went 1-0 down against Plymouth. This is a big chance for one of those teams, isn't it? To win this FA Cup. No United, no Arsenal, no Chelsea, no Newcastle.
Liverpool.
No Liverpool. I mean, you're never going to get a better chance than this if you're, say, a Villa or a Bournemouth.
I think if Bournemouth can knock out Man City, which they could do, then, I mean, this is what we've been talking about for years. I never understand it, why the Fulhams and the Brightons and the Bournemouths in the 3rd round put out their second best team, because this has just opened up brilliantly and you'll be in the Europa League and you'll win a trophy. It'd be great for their fans. And that's why I sort of had to take a deep breath after the penalties last night in the United game, because I was like, I can have a right old moan about missed penalties and how we're playing, but Fulham actually this season and last season, to be fair, you can't take that away from them. They didn't do anything wrong. They weren't lucky. It was a fair result, the same as way we beat you on penalties. But I think it's I don't know what it is. I don't know who the drink supplier is for the FA, but I don't know whether they were drinking pints of Carling at half time, because there was so many, like the Gordon one. When I first saw it, I was like, is it a penalty? Is it a red? And then you see it from a different angle and you go, he doesn't need to do that. The Cunha one's nailed on. And then that goalkeeper on Mateta. I mean, God. That was like Schumacher from 84 Euros, wasn't it? It was.
And you know what? You know the worst thing about that, Mark, right? The ref, Michael Oliver again, weren't even sending him off. He had to go to VAR. What was he? That reminded me of the Howard Webb one that time, right? All those years ago. Where that was it De Jong?
Yeah, the World Cup final,
It was a bit reminded me like that. Well, he's in charge now anyway, so it's crazy, these refs.
I saw a picture of that, and he's like 10 meters away looking straight at it as the goalkeeper comes that way, and you're like, on what planet do you not see that? But yeah, look, I think the FA Cup's opened up really, really interestingly, and as long as Man City don't win it, I think it would be really, really, really good to see like one of those many other teams that are still there fighting.
Well, let's take a look at it. Nottingham Forest and Ipswich play tonight. So whoever wins that game is going to be away to Brighton. That's not going to be easy. No. Preston have drawn Aston Villa. Preston, great win for them. Preston over Burnley. Burnley were favourites to win that. But that's a good draw for Villa. Fulham versus Crystal Palace, London derby. Big chance for both of those teams to progress in this. And Bournemouth at home against Man City. They've beaten City already. This City, I mean, they'll fancy their chances in that. City going to have to go really strong. Only thing they can win this season. So it's really, really opened up. And it's going to be really, really interesting indeed to see how that one works out. I want to move it on a little bit because also this week there's some big Champions League games and also big Europa League games. Let's start off with the Champions League. Take a look at Arsenal. Arsenal tomorrow at PSV. We know the well-documented problems we've had with strikers. But how you feel about that game?
Look, it's very much the same as United in a way, but obviously we're in the Europa League. Your season sort of rests on this. I know Arsenal, we play you next Sunday, and I'm sort of like, I don't know about that game, but I think in this sense, I think PSV are quite a good side.
Yeah, they are.
All right.
They beat Juventus in the last round over 2 legs.
Yeah,
so it won't be easy.
Yeah, they play a good brand. But I think it all comes down to this game, Robbie, really. I think if you get them back to the Emirates and you're not in trouble, I would be very surprised. But then again, if it's a draw and they bring it back to the Emirates, last season, was it when you got knocked out on penalties by Sporting or something, or maybe it was 2 years ago?
Yeah, a couple of seasons ago, yeah.
That would be a concern. But Arsenal got to try and give everything they can in this, because people will say they can't win it. But I remember that Real Madrid side a couple of years ago, and they had they just had that amazing resilience, and Arsenal have got a good defence. So look, team, you've won. I remember you winning the cup. Was it the Cup Winners' Cup or something with George Graham? You know, you got to win. You got to win it on your defence. Got to go old school, Arsenal.
100%. If you're going to win it, it is defence, right? It ain't going to be attack, that's for sure, because we're completely toothless up front. Well documented, all the players that are out up front. But listen, we can hopefully base it on defence. I think if we can get it back to the Emirates without losing the game, we've got a great chance of going through. The other big game on Tuesday is Real Madrid versus Atletico. That is really mouth-watering, and that's a great game. And of course, Club Bruges take on Aston Villa. Again, big chance for Villa here to progress.
Yeah, I can't remember who Club Bruges knocked out in the last. Atalanta, yeah.
Good side, Bruges. They also beat Villa earlier on in the Champions League as well.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be the pushover that some are thinking, but I expect Arsenal to beat PSV, and I expect Arsenal to Villa to come through as well. And also, it's for the Premier League, we need those top 5 spots. So we don't want to lose a load of English teams in this round. So I fancy Arsenal and Villa to get through, but it might not be as comfortable as I think some think.
Yeah, another tasty game is PSG versus Liverpool. I mean, PSG, they started off, I remember us beating them pretty easily in the Champions League, but they've hit form recently, playing really, really well. They destroyed Man City, remember, up against Liverpool. This is going to be a great game over in Paris.
Yeah, I think similarly to Arsenal, I think if you can get that second leg at home, and both English clubs deserve that because of how they finished in their league, I think you've got a great chance of going through. And Anfield, especially this season, but over many years, we all know what the atmosphere can be like when they turn it on. And I think that PSG are going to have to take a lead to Anfield to have a chance. I think even if it was like 2-1, you'd fancy Liverpool to turn that around the way they're playing. And as we were talking about there, look, Liverpool, they sort of seem to be getting, they're not lucky. They're the best team, and they've topped the Champions League. But there's a lot of things sort of moving in the direction of maybe they could do the Champions League as well, as much as I dread to see it. But I'd expect over 2 legs they'll get through. But PSG have improved across the season. Yeah,
they could easily do the Champions League as well. And Liverpool have been on fire. Another standout game, Bayern Munich versus Leverkusen. That's a great game. Benfica taking on Barcelona. That a revenge mission for Benfica, because I think, remember that game where Barcelona came from 4 down, but it was a very controversial ending to that game. Then we get to Thursday, the Europa League, right? Manchester United versus Real Sociedad away on the back of that FA Cup defeat. It all comes down to this, Mark. If United can go all the way in this competition, that gets them into the Champions League, despite a really poor season. This is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the morning after the night before, I think many United fans would look at this and say we've got absolutely no chance of winning it. But you drop Fulham in the Europa League, you drop Brighton in the Europa League, they'd probably be okay in it. So it's not like the Premier League's very competitive this year. So I still don't write off Spurs or Man United having a chance of winning this. But obviously it's Spurs and it's Man United. And the big thing I think we will struggle with is that these Spanish sides and a lot of European teams are well organised technically. They sometimes struggle to score goals. Barcelona, I think, beat them 4-0 yesterday, but they've got decent players. There's that Zubimendi who's meant to be going to you. Kubo's a good winger. Yazabel's still there. So I just don't know, Robbie, with United. I think even with Arsenal, I can say getting back to the Emirates. With Liverpool, I can say getting back to Anfield. But with United, I'm like, they'll come to Old Trafford and they'll be like, yeah, let's just play. So we're going to have to, you know, the perfect manager United need at the moment is Jose Mourinho. They just need somebody that can grind out results. And yeah, I mean, we've got to do it. You know what? We're staring into oblivion if we don't get this, because financially, it's not just not being in Europe. It's tens of millions of pounds that we haven't got. So it's scary to think, but it's all or nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, and AZ Alkmaar taking on Tottenham, the same sort of thing for them as well. Massive for Tottenham. They've had a weekend off, of course, because they're also out of the FA Cup. They'll fancy themselves in this one. Again, for them, it's about bringing back AZ Alkmaar to Spurs with them not, you know, being in any leader. But I'd expect Tottenham to win this, surely.
Yeah, well, I think the funny thing is with Ange, he's been absolutely obliterated this season and mocked and everything like that. But he says, "I win a trophy in my second season," and that is still a trophy. And one thing about Spurs in recent weeks is they have improved a bit, and they have got, unlike United, they have got big players coming back. Van der Ben's going to be back, Romero's going to be back. So that tournament, you drop Arsenal in that tournament, you'd win it. You drop Liverpool, they'd win it. So Spurs or Man United have got to appreciate they're in a very competitive Premier League and probably just be a little bit more on the front foot, because they are capable of winning that trophy. Although I've got to be honest, I'd be very surprised if it's an English club winning it.
A big chance for both English clubs. It's going to be a really interesting week. And of course, don't forget on Friday, going to be over on Mark's channel. So we'll be reflecting on those games. And also we'll be looking ahead to that game. Manchester United versus Arsenal. Huge, right? Game as it always is, no matter how or what position we are in the league. Time for our team of the week. FA Cup team of the week. Do you want to go with the goalkeeper first?
I'm going to be very honest, Robbie, and say that I didn't watch a lot of FA Cup football, but I watched enough to be able to say that I thought Leno was the best goalkeeper I saw at the weekend. He made a really good save from that young lad, Obi that we got from you. On the replay, I thought it was a fantastic save, and
it was a great save.
He looked the better goalkeeper on penalties as well, so I'd give it him. Yeah,
no, Leno, he never used to be a very good penalty saver when he was at Arsenal. I'll tell you, like the teams will get a penalty, we'd just be like, yeah, they got a goal, right? So, Leno definitely the goalkeeper. If I went, let me give you my back four. I went Richards, Palace. O'Reilly, the left back from Man City, who got 2 goals in that game, the youngster. Van Hecker at Brighton, who I thought he's a very aggressive player. I'll tell you, he is, right. I hate him and I like him, kind of thing, right? Because I remember he got Declan Rice sent off, but you know, he's the one who got Gordon sent off. He's always involved. He's always spiky. And Bassi, of course. I thought that was a great header that he scored against you guys. The way he just directed it, and he had a decent game as well. Bassi for Fulham.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you're playing a team to sort of respect them because you focused on your own team. And I know that like De Ligt was probably our best player, but you're right. Bassi for Fulham, he got a goal as well. So I can't really argue with that back four. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't watch Man City Plymouth because I was just sort of like, whatever. Yeah. But I mean, I watched probably 3 or 4 of the games from the weekend, and I did see bits of Brighton, Newcastle. And as I say, I'm very surprised Brighton won that game and thoroughly deserved. I mean, it's not hard. It's hard to go to Newcastle, isn't it?
Remember my predictions, Mark? We'll get to that on Friday.
Did you go Brighton?
I said surprise of the weekend. Brighton.
You bastard.
I was in there. As a couple I got. I tell you, I'm feeling good about Friday. Trust me. Right? Midfield.
Yeah, you've gone Palace, Muniz, Berg, and De Bruyne. Well, I can't say about De Bruyne, but I did think Sander Berg had a good game.
Had a good game.
Bit of salt in the wounds, actually, because we got linked to him, and I was like, ooh. And obviously, at the moment, I think we'd have anybody in our midfield. We'd have Henningberg in our midfield, let alone Sander Berg. But yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And then, I can't really
put Bruno in there because it was a great goal. And if you'd have won, I would have put Bruno in there for saving you lot again. But you lost, so so Munoz of Palace, Sander Berg of Fulham, and Kevin De Bruyne of City also scored. And up front, Mark?
Well, I totally agree with Asensio and Welbeck. I mean, Welbeck played for both of our clubs, hasn't he? And
Yeah.
A lot of United fans are saying we could do with a Welbeck, and I know what they mean. I mean, he must be approaching his mid-30s, but honest, hard-working play. You know what you're going to get. Brilliant goal for
goal
Brighton.
as well.
Yeah,
scored a great goal, and I'm telling you, like, this guy, a very unlucky player with injuries over his career because he's talented. But yeah, Asensio, 2 goals again for him. Another play. Every time that guy scores, it annoys me because when Arsenal said there was nobody available again on a loan from PSG, I'm sure that's about 4 or 5 goals he scored already. Big goals for Aston Villa. And the other player that I went for up there was Kluivert, who I thought played really, really well as well for Bournemouth.
Yeah. I mean, look, I could try and think if there's anyone from Brighton or Newcastle game that I watched, but certainly I don't think Fulham's wingers were very good. United's weren't very good. And we've mentioned Asensio. So yeah, look, Bournemouth, that's a good result for Bournemouth against Wolves. They went extra time.
Yeah, brilliant result for Bournemouth. And again, like we said, a chance for them to go for this. So Kluivert, Asensio, and Welbeck up front. That is our team of the week. Mark, thank you very, very much. Looking forward to being over on your channel.
Well, I'm not anymore. I didn't bloody realise you've gone for Brighton over Newcastle. I'm going to check the VAR on that.
Listen,
I'm going to get one of them voice editors. You know what? I'm going to get one of them voice editors and change it when your mouth will be saying Brighton and it'll be going easy Newcastle win.
I went for Brighton, and I'll tell you the other team that I went for. Fulham. I'm almost sure Fulham.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
I'm looking good this week.
Yeah. I know. I got Preston over Burnley, but that's not enough. Like,
did you get Preston over Burnley?
Yeah, you went Burnley. I went Preston.
Oh, that's impressive.
That was a guess.
You would have thought that Burnley would have won that, but yeah, we'll find out on Friday. We'll get those results, and of course, we'll look ahead to that big game, Man United Arsenal, and look back at the Champions League games and also the Europa League games. I'm off to the airport now to go to that game. Mark, thanks once again. And don't forget, subscribe here to DR Sports. We're here every single Monday looking back at the weekend's games. Thank you, Mark.
Cheers.